Welcome everyone to another Alumni in Management series. The AIM series is designed to provide our audience with a targeted conversation featuring a Monmouth University alumnus working in a management capacity in the professional world. What you learn by listening to an AIM series is closely aligned to what you might learn from a professional development seminar when you're working full-time in your careers. So the Leon Hess Business School is happy to provide this programming to help you get a leg up on the competition. Before we get started, I am pleased to welcome the Dean of the Leon Hess Business School, Raj Devasagayam, to give us some opening remarks.
Welcome to the Alumni in Management series. This is a series of one-on-one conversations that's designed to bring in the expertise and experience of emergent leaders to our classrooms. We in the Leon Hess Business School believe that your learning outside the classroom is truly essential to supplement our learning inside the classroom. As you listen to the conversation this evening, focus in and relate it to your own experience, your own professional experience from jobs, from internships, and see what you can learn that would be of help to you right away, in the near future as you approach the job market, and in the distant future as you craft your own leadership path. My thanks to Professor Palazzolo for organizing this event. I must mention that he's a proud alum of Monmouth himself. My thanks also to the alumni for bringing in their expertise and experience, sharing it with us so generously, and most of all, for the time and effort you're putting in to giving back something to our institution. Thank you. Finally, I thank each one of you for attending. I hope you learned something new today that you can apply beginning tomorrow. Enjoy.
Of course, we thank Dean Devasagayam for offering those welcoming remarks. Today, we welcome Bryan Duarte to the AIM series. And to start off, we're going to play a brief video of Bryan introducing himself to everyone. Check it out.
Hey Monmouth community, my name is Bryan Duarte. I graduated in 2014. Here's my rooftop, Happy Easter. Decided to change it up a little bit instead of a little boring laptop type of screening. I decided to do it over here. So a little bit about myself. I graduated Monmouth University in 2014. During my time there, I was president of Sigma Pi fraternity. I graduated with a degree in management and finance, and I'm looking forward to you guys finding a little bit more about me on this series. Hey Monmouth community, this is Bryan Duarte. I'm reporting from my office over here in Miami, Florida. So took my talents from the Jersey Shore back in my Monmouth days over to New York City, and now here in Miami, Florida for the last 4 years. Definitely changed the scenery. And can't complain about the weather nonetheless. So I represent a company called Fellowship Home Loans. I'm a producing branch manager over here. I run a small team. We specialize in real estate finance, basically any financing including residential as well as commercial. So we do things like new construction, primary purchases, investment property purchases, fix and flip rehabilitations. We do home equity loans. We also work with grant programs around the country. You name it, anything regarding real estate, we cast that wide net and try to offer to our clients. So in a typical client conversation, a client would come to us with their specific goals and needs, and then we go ahead and align financing for them, provide some sort of estimate, go over that with them, pre-approve them, and get them fully secure and ready to go ahead and shop with confidence in that new property. Or we do refinancing where the property already is owned by the client, and we can either lower their payment, get some equity out, etc. Anything they're looking to do, we look to meet and exceed those expectations. So more to come in this series. Also looking to kind of go over that transition from college over to the real world. So very, very pumped to go over a lot, and hopefully everyone gets something out of it. Talk to you all soon.
Thank you for the self-introduction, Bryan. And look, that was great. You're here selling everyone on residential mortgages, and we're going to talk a whole lot about that coming up here in a bit. But before we get there, you've just done the self-introduction. Is there anything else you want to add in there that you think we should know on the front end of this before we get going with our conversation tonight?
Absolutely. There's a lot to unload. You know, been in banking basically 10 years since graduating. And what I'll touch into is I'm also went into a big accident in New York City taxi. We'll unload that as part of the series. So I'm going to go over not only the professional side, but also, you know, how you overcome something as difficult as a big car accident like I did back in 2019.
Okay. All right. We're going to get there. So let's dial it back a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about your personal background. Maybe anything you didn't hit on in the introduction video. Where are you from?
Very cool. Yeah, so I'm from North Jersey. Well, my family is from Colombia, so I'm first generation. My first language was Espanol, so that's why I'm over here in Miami. It's kind of a nice fit. I get to exercise both languages frequently. In fact, I speak Spanish about 50% of my day, so it's very cool. From North Jersey, in terms of town, I graduated from Garfield High School. That's Bergen County. So, yep, I'm Benny, as they call it. Nah, I'm joking. And so from Garfield, went into Monmouth through the EOF program. I don't know if there's any EOF people on here. Basically, it's a phenomenal scholarship aimed to help those from disadvantaged communities. Definitely very, very grateful I was able to land that. And yeah, I mean, the Monmouth was a phenomenal experience. So
you went to Garfield High School. What gets you to go to Monmouth from Garfield? Why Monmouth?
I just want to be as far away from home as possible. Nah, I'm just joking, Jim. So look, I mean, you got to look at the options in New Jersey, right? First, all the programs, all the good scholarships are in state. So unfortunately, I didn't score that high in it, like as high in the SATs as I wanted to. Princeton was out of the question. But if that was in the itinerary, maybe I would have been there. But I had a few options. It was Rutgers, Montclair, Monmouth, Rowan. These are the big names. You know what? And when I went to Monmouth, to be quite honest, a couple things. One, when I went to that campus, like I knew right away. I was like, this is a school. This is what I want. This is the place. But number two, just the reviews, the environment, the support. It was second to none. And like I knew that was my first choice outside of compared to the other options I had.
Okay, so Monmouth was it. Monmouth was the place you chose. I'm glad that you did. Why did you choose the major that you chose here at Monmouth? Tell the folks what your major was and why you chose it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I started in biology. Major in biology. I was going to go into medical. And, sometimes you start something and you learn what not to do or what you don't want to do by actually doing it. So after, a semester of courses, I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I don't like needles. I don't like bodily fluids. This doesn't interest me. Business was always number one. I was always selling. I was always making a deal one way or the other. So that's how I went into business.
If you don't like needles and you don't like body fluid, I feel like biology is not the way to go.
100%.
Now, I have to mention to you, I've been doing the same series for a number of years here. I've never had so many registrations, and we're up to almost 60 people in here who are watching. We're going to put this on YouTube, and it'll be available for everyone to watch. Most of the folks who are watching here in the room that I'm looking at, you have a lot of freshmen who are here, a lot of sophomores. They don't have a significant business history. So I
Mhm.
want to talk just for a little bit about any part-time jobs and internships you had while you were at Monmouth. Did you have anything like that?
Nothing that rings a bell, actually, Joe. Um,
Sure.
so couple, absolutely, yes, I did. Um, One, I was at I heard that the Monmouth Mall is closing down, which is tragic because that's where I worked as part-time. I worked over at the GNC over there, uh, pretty much selling proteins. I was very active in the gym, not reflective of my current kind of body figure now, but you know, the dad bod has made its comeback on me. But I worked at GNC selling, getting in front of people, etc. And then I did work at New Jersey Community Capital alongside a professor, Professor Palazzolo. So that was a good mentor. Really paved the way in terms of um, my introduction to business, introduction to lending, introduction to banking, relationships, uh, review of documentation. It was a lot to unload. Probably the most learning I had in all, probably had the biggest impact in my career afterwards.
And you were doing this while you were an undergraduate. You were doing GNC at the mall, which you're right is undergoing major renovations and is not going to be a mall anymore. And you were doing the NJCC work while you were an undergraduate.
Correct.
What else did you do while you were an undergraduate? That seems like a lot by itself, plus taking your schoolwork. What else did you do?
Uh, Went to Jackson and Ocean. No, I'm joking. So no, there was I was also involved in Greek life. I was vice president of the Greek Senate. Um, we won a couple awards, and regarding that, I was president of Sigma Pi. I was a senator of student government, um, all while working, all while doing my full-time courses. I had to make sure that my academics were up. Obviously, maintain my scholarship, and basically, I wanted to take everything that was available in Monmouth, and I wanted to just take everything in and do as much as possible. The biggest thing, and I didn't really say this back then, but I say this now to all my employees, the majority of life is massive action. So you're not gonna be the best at everything right away. There's gonna be things that go wrong, but as long as you take massive action in terms of learning and massive action in terms of solutions, um, that's kind of my motto, and that's exactly what I did at Monmouth.
So you were involved in a lot of organizations. You just listed a few of them out,
Mhm.
and you mentioned earlier you were in the EOF program, which itself is a heavy responsibility for the students who are in it. I'm looking at the nearly 60 people here, and many of them are in the EOF program as well. How did you manage balancing all of this out? You're involved in this group, you're involved in that group, you got a part-time job, you got an internship. How do you balance all that out? What's your advice for the students on that?
Absolutely. Like I said, it's just 100 miles per hour, massive action. That's how I balance. No, but jokes aside, it's when you enjoy what you're doing. I enjoyed everything I was a part of. I loved being in the fraternity. A lot of those guys, I talk to them every day from, now. We're in group chats, I'm 32 years old now, which is horrible to say. Feeling old, every year is closer to 40. But no, but yeah, I talk to these guys every time. So I thoroughly enjoyed the fraternity life, the social life there. I enjoyed the work I did. I enjoy giving back. So and business is excellent. The good thing about Monmouth is they have guys like Professor Palazzolo who were in the field. And there's other professors, Professor Burke, other professors in that business school who were actually in the field and is kind of incorporating what you're learning with the books and everything you're reading and exercising and all the tests, etc. But also implementing, hey, this is how this translates into the real world, and these are some of the real scenarios I had, and I really wanted to absorb as much as possible, and make sure I utilize the experience of Monmouth.
I'm going to ask you in a little bit about any classroom experiences or educational experiences that stand out. Professors, you already named some. I'll ask you about that here in a little bit, but I want to move to just after Monmouth University. You're a heavily involved student. You're involved in a lot of organizations. You're making it happen. Tell us about just after graduation, the very beginning of your professional life.
Absolutely. Like most graduates are gonna feel, they're gonna feel, all right, what's next? You've you've kind of gotten used to the routine, going your classes, your organizations, your job, etc. Now you graduate, and it's like, all right, what's next? So when I graduated, what I wanted to do was take as much risk as possible. I know I'm young. And I knew that one day there's going to be kids, family, etc. is going to depend on me. It's going to be a little harder to take some risk. So kind of what I did was bet on myself. I went back up north, lived just like most people. They're going to probably move in with family like I did. Then go interview at different organizations. And kind of what I jumped into was sales right away. I've taken some operations, I've done some operational roles beforehand, but I knew that my skill set aligns with getting in front of people and closing deals. So I cold called. I did a lot of the stuff that nobody wants to do initially. And I did that because I wanted to pretty much, I call it batting practice. So I wanted to exercise, kind of just getting on the phone and trying to sell a financial product early on and get that lingo, get the nerves off. And honestly, it was one of the best experiences I ever had in terms of making sure that, when you're young, you get to take more risk than someone who's older. So if you want to try something that might be difficult, the time is now.
So I mentioned before that among our guests here, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. As I'm looking at the folks in the room, Bryan, there's a lot of folks who are getting ready to graduate in just a couple of weeks from now, if you can believe it or not. In fact, graduation is 5 weeks away. It's right down the road. Talk to them about what is that first job like? What is it like? I mean, you talked about how you moved home and you talked about how you were interviewing. Well, you get hired. All right. So what's it like walking into that place the first day? What's that first job like?
Well, it's natural to feel nervous, Joe. I think that most people are, some people know what they're going to do. A lot of people don't know what they're going to do right off the bat, and it's okay. One thing that I wish someone told me, and Joe, I was talking to you a lot before I graduated. I wish you told me this. I'm just joking. One thing I wish someone told me, kind of going backwards, rewinding to that time of my life, was there's going to be uncertainty. you don't know what you're going to do. It's okay. It's completely fine. Most people, they're not going to land their dream job right off the bat. If there's going to be uncertainty, and that's natural. You know, and a lot of it is going to just navigate like, hey, what's my skill set? What would I be interested in? And then take that experience. So when you go into that office, it's going to be unique. It's going to be a unique experience, but take it day by day, absorb as much as possible. And a lot of the beginning, especially when you start an entry level type of job, you're going to learn what to do, but you're also going to learn what not to do. The real world is also not exempt from people necessarily are not going to work that hard. So you want to align yourselves with the people that are doing what you want to do and the success that you want to achieve. But you're also going to learn, like, hey, what not to do. There's going to be some people in the office, like, they're hanging around, they're horsing around, they're not doing everything, and they're not succeeding. And you're going to learn both what to do and what not to do, and just take it day by day.
It's good advice, by the way. Be observant of what goes on in the offices that you work at, the companies you work at. I know our students, Bryan, you know them too, because you were one of them. We can pick up pretty quickly on the folks who are being productive and who are not. And when you find those folks who are not being productive, those are not the ones you want to align yourself with. Hey, how long did you stay at your first job after college?
Year and a half.
So in that year and a half, there had to be a point where you decided, this isn't for me. It's time for me to move on. How do you know? What does that feel like?
Absolutely. So, going to the first one, I treasure the experience. They gave me responsibility that I necessarily didn't deserve and challenges. And that's what I wanted. So I'm grateful for the experience. But once I saw the management, where the business was going, there wasn't growth. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's what most people are going to want. Especially when you're young, you're going to want to grow. And once I saw that the growth wasn't there and they weren't necessarily executing on their on the goals or meeting the goals, I went and searched a different company that that's actually acting and executing the goals and when they say they're going to do something or they're going to, here's XYZ we're going to do, they actually execute. And that's what I did afterwards.
Okay. And do you think it took you the full year and a half that you were at the first job to maybe make that recognition? Hey, maybe I like these people, maybe I like this work, but there's no growth here.
Absolutely. I liked what I did. But and a lot of people are going to experience this. It's going to be, there's opportunity sometimes, right? Like when you start out, it's learning. You're not gonna unless you have some sort of track record, and everything in business is show me. Don't say you're gonna do it, show me. Like what's your performance? What did you close? What's the revenue? Everything is what did you achieve, not what did I do. So what did you achieve? And when you're in that particular company, I started getting to a level like out, exceeding those who were necessarily above me. But they weren't giving me the roles I wanted. I would vocalize, hey, here's what I want, etc. And they necessarily were not willing to, or like willing to invest in my growth, etc. So once you no, don't be afraid of making a change. But there's two ways. One way I tell some young people is, hey, vocalize it sometimes. Here's like vocalize what you want to achieve, what your goals are. When you vocalize it, more people are typically inclined to help you achieve what you want to achieve. Number two, if they're not willing to, or it's not necessarily going your way, or you want to have more responsibility, or sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes people want less responsibility and they find the job that's easier overall. But in my case, that's what happened there.
Okay, so you realize it's time to go. Where do you go?
Yep, fantastic. You have no idea at first, right? So the only way you learn, the only way you know, is by interviewing and then analyzing the company, online. The beauty about right now, our generation right now, is you can find out a lot about a company online. The products offered, the technology, the reviews, there's a lot of information. So you can look up, prior employees' experiences. That's what I advise a lot of people to do. There's an incredible amount of research and material, typically for every company, and you can make a decision from there on top of interviewing. And then, you interview at multiple places. They kind of, you sell them, but the first job, you essentially sell them. Hey, take a risk on me. I don't have any experience. I just graduated. But here's kind of things I did at college that prepared me for it, etc. But once you achieve the track record, or you know what you're doing at your career, then the next interviews are interesting. And the interesting thing is, you go there, you're like, hey, here's my track record, here's what I accomplished, here's my resume. And then they're selling you. It's the opposite. It's phenomenal. And you get to hear them out, kind of see what they're operating, their environment, and then you can make an informed decision from there.
Yeah, when you go out there for that second round of interviews for your second, third job, you're the coveted one. They want you. It's a nice change. So where did you go after you left your first job? Where did you go next?
Right. So basically, I heard about a Christian bank in Long Island. They advertise on Christian radio, Christian TV. Um, I'm hearing that there's a top lender in Long Island. So I we end up, me and a group, we end up going visiting the branch and the company. Just phenomenal environment. Uh, these guys are, you know, marketing, making video content. The phone is just ringing off the hook with business. These are warm leads. These aren't cold calls like I was doing beforehand. They were investing in the marketing. I'm in sales, so more marketing equals more sales equals more money. Uh, so, these guys were just taking massive action, like more action than I have ever seen. So when we interviewed with them and we saw the operation and they showed us the operation, not just told us the operation, I knew that that was the place. And I've been with them pretty much since 2016.
So you get hired 2016. This is a different question for every person who'll answer it, from the first job to the second job. What are some of the immediate differences that you feel? You've brought up cold calls versus warm calls. What else do you notice here in the second job that's immediately different than the first place?
The environment's way more positive. People there early and they stay late. The support is unmatched. It's fun. We get to, party bus to Yankee Stadium. The they're group of guys, women, etc., who, they play hard, but they also work hard. So it was a fit, all in all. Um, and we're all there to close business. So everyone fed off each other. And it was completely different than the prior company I was at, where, you know, managers were rolling in late, you know, it was it was completely different.
I appreciate that you mentioned work hard, play hard. Oftentimes, students will bring that up, that work hard, play hard, and I notice they're not working hard enough to play hard. So I'm glad that they're doing that in the professional world. So give us a view from 2016 through, let's say, the middle of 2019, before there's another change. How did your career progress there over that 3-ish year period?
Basically overnight, from month one, I was able to double my business, triple my income. It was I was being flooded with applications, kind of almost, I would say the word unlimited in terms of the business that was available. So that, that was interesting. And then, it came out to so much business. Now I have to, I hired an assistant to go ahead and help with the paperwork, and making sure that the customer has a good experience. Hiring juniors to handle the sales volume that was coming in. So it was really, really rolling in, and it still is. Right up until the middle of 2019, where it kind of, things took a little turn.
So what happened?
Gotcha. So jumping right into it, Joe, I like it. So basically, we in 2019, I just finished like a phenomenal quarter. We'll say 50 deals closed, residential deals closed within 3 months. Received a nice quarterly bonus, I would say, on the September 5th, which is also the Chicago Bears versus Green Bay Packers opening game of football. So what I did was, me and the guys, we went out to New York City, cash, done this a million times, nothing unique about the day, except that it was a really good day. At least started that way. End of the night, game ends, call up an Uber. The Uber was lost. So I waved down a old-fashioned New York City taxi. My recommendation, everyone, don't take New York City taxis, take Ubers. Hopefully they're out of business. I'm salty about it. But we'll take a New York City taxi, and next thing I know, don't recall anything about the crash or anything like that, outside of being resuscitated in the actual ambulance. So it was definitely scary, to say the least. And life has been different since.
So there's a catastrophic accident that takes place, and life's been different. So physically different. There's a lot of rehab that has to go on, really beginning with the resuscitation. To the extent that you're comfortable talking about it, what are the next few days, weeks, months like?
Correct. So, I mean, first, the experience, I'll go right to the beginning. Um, you know, you don't know what's going on. So I'm in the ambulance, I'm strapped. And then I'm kind of in a waiting room, laying down, and the doctors come out, and they're just, at that point, they're kind of putting my paperwork together. What's your name, etc. I'm communicating back. So at the beginning, in the beginning, I had no severity of what happened. We went into we went into the doctor kind of unstrapping me and then saying, Brian, do you feel my hand? And I was like, where? He's like, do you feel my hand? And I was like, no, like, what's going on? Do you feel this? Do you feel that? No, there was no sensation from neck down. So definitely scary. I was asking, is my stomach in? Like, do I have a stomach? I thought my guts were out. Like I was like launched off the vehicle. Um, that I was like, somehow in place. Uh, then, I found out the severity of what happened. Basically, what happened was this cab driver on the way home uh, crashed, like plowed into another vehicle in a yield, going full speed. So the unique thing about vehicles is that the driver has all the good safety stuff that protects them, but the passengers are typically who face the most damage. So upon the crash, it my head was railed at, like pretty much hit a surface. Um, Luckily, no brain damage, thankfully, but my neck was broken, and in the neck is a spinal cord, and that spinal cord is responsible for all movement, sensation, everything. So that spinal cord is damaged. Therefore, you know, there was paralysis from neck down at that time.
It's a dramatic change from celebrating earlier in the day to having the accident take place and the outcome from that. Um, so you're in the hospital, you're recovering. Um, Obviously, your professional life gets put on hold. Is there something you want to say about the company you work for and the way that they worked with you while you were injured?
Yeah, that's a unique thing. So yeah, I'm a businessman, all in all. Um, the biggest thing, yeah, I believe, and this is part of the Christian religion too, in serving others, um, or to help as many people as possible. That's how I do business and that's how I live my life. At that time, the doctors came in prior to my employers coming in, or my company or my coworkers, family, etc. Doctors came in, and just really revealed the news. And I think they just give the same speech to everyone. But there's definitely no white gloves treatment or bedside manner when it comes to it. But they pretty much said, "Hey, Brian, you suffered a spinal cord injury. Um, you're and it's pretty tough, but you're gonna need 24/7 care going forward. And not only that, um, you're not gonna be able to walk, eat, pretty much do anything for yourself because your nerves are damaged." So at that point, I was like, okay, when you absorb, you kind of go through some sort of denial phase, but there's like two voices in my head, like, all right, bro, you're gonna, try to make a substantial recovery. And then there's the other side saying, you know, you're worthless now, like the negative. Um, that's it. That's it for you. You had a good run and now it's a waste of talent. So there's that going on, and at that time, now the coworkers came, visited me, etc. And then my bosses came in and they informed me that I told them, like, time to put me on disability. I think it's gonna take me a while. And they told me, no, absolutely not. You're going to get the best rehab. You're gonna get back on your feet, and we are going to keep you on payroll the entire time. We're not gonna miss a beat. We're not gonna skip a beat. You're valuable to us, and don't ever say to take you off. That meant a lot because at that particular time, I didn't feel as in terms of what the medical community, well, the doctors and everyone, and they essentially told me, hey, man, you're done, you know? And when you get told that, you know, you're like, these are the professionals, they know what they're doing. They've seen this before. So for that type of encouragement, it really gave me fire to keep going.
It's an incredible thing for a company to do. Our students will understand this more. Our listeners will understand this more when they're out there in the professional world and folks get put on disability. To have a company that is so behind you, like your company was and is. I mean, it's remarkable. It's a remarkable thing for a company to do, and they should be commended for sure. You start rehabbing. How's that go?
Very unique experience. I wouldn't want anyone else to go through it. What I took from it, and then I'll get right into the rehab, is that the number one, if you have your health, you're wealthy. That's number one. Right now, of course, you want to have the riches, the finance, the house, the boat, something that that I like as well. But health is wealth. If you're able to get up in the morning and walk to your class, and when whoever does that tomorrow, enjoy it. That's the most wealth ever. So that's one. Now going to this rehab situation, I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to live. My whole life I was very strong. Let's say physically. I'm a physically strong man, pretty much from puberty to the accident. Now I'm in a situation where, as hard as I'm trying, is I'm weak physically, not mentally, but physically. It's tough for me to get out of bed, or people are carrying me, and it's an incredibly humbling experience. And I took it, I went back to my mindset where take it day by day, see what happens, work as hard as possible, put the hours in, and then see how much recovery you can achieve. So, and then that's what I did in rehab. Everything they told me to do, I did at 10x. So, do this. All right, we're doing it. It is working. So I just listened.
And it's yielded some results.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to go on my Instagram, I keep it public. It's B as in boy, Duarte, DUARTE 09, and you can kind of see the recovery there. I don't post much about the recovery now. It's still on there. It's a little bit more about business and just like day to day. But I was able to achieve 60% strength overall. Obviously there's permanent damage there. But in terms of independence, my day to day is done independently. So from morning to night, everything with the assistance of walkers, canes, wheelchair, etc. I do everything independently. I'm able to walk, like an old man, but walk nonetheless. But I'm able to get out of bed, stand up, go to the couch, stand up, etc. So definitely made a great recovery. And in this experience, I've met others who maybe haven't had the same recovery. So, there's a sense of gratitude through it too. I also regained sensation, if people want to know that, from neck down too, which is huge.
Yeah. And more to come when Elon figures out Neuralink, right?
Absolutely. So it's cut two very interesting developments. One, my boy Elon Musk. Anyone who dislikes him, I dislike you. No, I'm joking. But yeah, he's doing a phenomenal thing where he's actually able to read. The beauty about the spinal cord is just a cord. It's not intelligent. It's not like the brain. So Neuralink is actually something Elon Musk is invested in. And hold on a second, guys. I'm just gonna cancel it. Hold on. All right. So basically, you're able to put some sort of chip in the brain, and it's actually able to read, the motions you're that you're telling your body to do. So his plan is to maybe put a chip in the brain, put a chip in the spinal cord. You want to move your index finger, it reads it from the brain, and it shoots it out to the cord. That's one development. And there's also another development called nerve gen. I don't think I've told you this, Joe, but basically it's where it's something injected in the stomach. It's actually in human trials right now in Chicago, and it tells the spinal cord that there's no damage at all, and it actually allows the growth of the nerves. That's the biggest thing. The spinal cord does not regenerate currently the way it stands. Whereas like your peripheral nerves, if you hurt your hand, and you get nerve damage or anything like that, you may not feel for like 6 weeks, but you regain full mobility, etc. With as long as not too severe. In the spinal cord, that doesn't happen. But in this case, with this drug, it actually tricks the spinal cord saying, hey, there's no damage there. And it allows regeneration. They tried on mice, and these mice made 90% recoveries from spinal cord. And not only that, they snipped it. They didn't like bruise it. So that's cool. I actually invested quite a bit of money because it's a stock now. And I was like, hey, if I lose it, I lose it. But if I win, not only do I win in the actual utilization of the drug, but I win in financially. So I'm willing to take 2 wins. Hopefully it happens.
I appreciate the businessman mindset you take to it, Brian. Good for you. All right. So let's move on a little bit. You've got an injury, you've got a recovery, your business keeps you on the payroll. What's the next evolution of your professional life now?
Absolutely. So, we did 2 years, that happened in June 6, 2019. And then boom, COVID hits. I guess some people just they didn't even start school.
Some of them were in high school, yeah.
Right? They're in high school. But nonetheless, it's all work from home. Great. I'm rehabbing from home, right? So, the world changes. And, predominant, I'm throwing all my resources, monies, etc., to rehab. And, after 2 years of rehab, and I was also working as well. And I was one of the thing I was like top 5 during rehab. But at that particular time, I wanted to after 2 years, that's kind of the years of recovery. I was like, you know what? I want to keep my money. That's one. Everything I was earning, I was throwing into it. Anything possible. Rehab, stretching. My whole life was just recovery, which I have zero regrets about because I made a phenomenal recovery from it. But at one point you want to move on. You want to live your life. You want to have that normalized life that you had before. So that's where I moved on to. And during this time, I moved to Miami, and my family's from here. Then I went off to the races, first month, second month, third month, number one in the company, fourth month, number one in the company. Opened up the branch in January of 2022. That's about 2 years ago. Start hiring. And just last year, let's say the end of this year, I was number one year end in the company. So it's been, let's just say that they invested in the right guy, the bosses. So I also started up my own LLC where I do my own lending. I also lend my own money at 12% interest, of course, with some fees associated. I'm just joking, but depends on the deal. So there's a lot that I'm incorporating, and it's only been 2 years, and it's been very, very good to say at least, and that's in a high interest rate, high inflation environment where it's a little bit more difficult to close deals than before.
So if I have the story correctly, you're doing well in residential mortgages, catastrophic injury, some rehab for a little bit. Are you doing even better now?
10 times better, Joe. I mean, look, like I tell people when they find out, like, I'm not walking out on anyone. So I'm over here, I'm sitting, I'm glued to my desk.
It's a terrible joke, Bryan.
If there's anyone disabled on this network, that they'll get the joke. And I can say those things now, Joe. So we're okay.
I don't know how I'm supposed to bounce back. Good for you, Bryan. You mentioned that there's a high interest rate environment. Maybe just for a minute or so, talk to these students about what you see coming up in your industry in the next 12 to 18 months.
Great. So in business, there's always going to be curveballs constantly. The goal is to pivot. How can you beat out the competition? So right now, in the last 2 years, we've had high rates. If anyone's watching CNBC, Fox Business, etc., all you're hearing about is the interest rates being high. That's it. How that's influencing employment, inflation, etc. So what we see now is inflation coming down. So it's down to like 3.8% as of last month, which is better than April 2022 when it was at 9.3%. And there's an election year. That's big. And the Federal Reserve has indicated that inflation continues to go down, rates will start coming down. With rates coming down, it's going to increase inventory of real estate. Right now, inventory is very short. Especially New Jersey. New Jersey is the lowest inventory in the United States. You have incredible demand from New York City, Philadelphia. There's a lot of business there. It's a phenomenal state, especially Jersey Shore. If you guys can stay there and work there, I'd do that. And with rates coming down, it's gonna be more inventory, more business coming up, and we have a well-oiled machine here to meet that extra demand.
Hey, I mentioned a little while ago that a lot of the folks who are listening to this are getting ready to graduate soon. What are some of the things you look for in the people you hire at your very successful branch?
Yeah, so I love hiring someone fresh. Reason being is they haven't developed the bad habits yet. So someone fresh from college, they don't know any different. So if they come in this high energy, massive action learning environment, they're gonna be easily molded into a top producer. So I look for really three things. Integrity is one. We're not here to we're not, I don't believe in the business of doing wrong by others. It's a very short-sighted mindset. Now you can make a ton of profit doing wrong by others. However, it's short-sighted. Someone who, when you do a good business deal, you get their family, friends, sky's the limit, coworkers, and someone talking positively about you. One, it makes you feel better. You don't want to be the guy no one likes. Two, it will always reap more business. So integrity is huge. So if you're like, you know, a lot like making bad habits, like a record of stealing or something like that, or you want to truly, I believe business sales is helping that person make the right decision and showing them the tools needed. Number two, energy. Energy is huge. You're gonna come here. Now, listen, I get it. Sometimes you're gonna go out, have a good time with your significant other, etc. You might come in tired once in a blue, right? That's completely fine. That's life. But for the most part, the majority of the time, you're out here. You're who has my money? Where's the deals at? Let me make the call. Let me be proactive. We want someone with high energy. That's what we like to have here. So I always go like, hey, how many calls you made? Here's your goals. Have you met them? Let's keep the energy up, and business will never be low. And then number three is intelligence. And there's a lot of people who could be intelligent, but who decide not to use it. We want those who use it, which means like, hey, you're in the business realm. Are you reading on current events? How's that impacting your business? What new products are out there? What's the competition doing? I'm completely invested in how can we be better? How can we outperform the competition? What sets us apart? And make sure we convey that to the client. So those are three things. So it's integrity, energy, intelligence.
Excellent. Three great pieces of advice.
Three key qualities.
Excellent pieces of advice. We had a couple of questions come in. I'll just ask you one or two of them, and then we'll wrap up here. One of the questions was, do you have a favorite Monmouth University memory?
Endless. Socially or in the school setting. Now I'm just joking. Favorite memory, I'd say is just barbecuing with the guys and one of our chapter houses.
Always a good time.
Nothing better.
Okay.
After finals. Yep.
Of course, after finals, right?
Yep.
Naturally. Another question that came in was, what did you learn from your internships that you did not learn in the classroom?
Gotcha. So a classroom is going to teach you how to analyze information, how to convey that information. And the beauty of the internships is you need to utilize and perform the tasks that are requested of you. And they're not going to be as nice as your professors if you don't do it well. So what I say in the real world, there's no A, B, C, D, E, F. There's either A or F. And when it's an F, it ain't good. So basically, there's no horsing around. Did you get the job done? Did you do it well? Excellent. Next task.
Love that advice. Love it. A or F, no in between. And then the last question.
You're done.
No, that's it. You're hired, you're fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the last question from the students, the audience, what leadership lessons did you learn from your time as a student leader at Monmouth?
Oof. It was an incredible learning experience to take some sort of leadership position. Number one, you're not going to make everyone happy. You have to make the tough decisions. Whether you're a manager of a business, whether you're running your own business, whether you're leading the church group, anything at all, there's going to be people that disagree with you. And what I learned, that was the hardest thing I learned at a young age, because, you want to, especially like in a fraternity setting or Greek Senate, and these are people that you hang out with after school, or in the weekends. So when they disagree or they're talking negatively about something, actions you've taken or tough decisions you had to make, it hurts. And what I learned as a leader is you're not going to make everyone happy. And those who are unhappy, hey, what solutions do you have? What actions would you take? Listen, find common ground. So I learned a lot about making the tough decisions, and not only that, getting common ground and dealing with one, the naysayers, and then dealing with how to make maybe an enemy a friend, and how can we get there?
Good advice. Figuring out ways to bridge the gaps over disagreements, collaborating over ideas that might work and where everyone might leave happy.
Communication's key. Hey, I hear you're unhappy. I hear you don't like how things are going. What would you do differently? What do you think? Hey, maybe I'll implement that. I think that you have some valid points. So find the common ground. Something our Washington, D.C. also has to learn to do. I'm just joking. But yeah, that's what I learned, and that's why it's pivotal to try to, even a community service chair, or anything you get involved in, there's going to be learning lessons there.
Great. So the last question I have for you, Bryan, if you have any parting words of wisdom for the students and the folks who'll listen to this in the future, now would be the time. Any parting words of wisdom for everyone?
All right. Well, yeah, I think the wisdom is there's consistent challenges that we're going to face as a nation, as an individual. And I think Monmouth does a phenomenal job at teaching everyone, is that constantly be in a state of learning. The learning never ends. Learn as much as possible. There's going to be technology that, either puts your career at risk, etc. The wise thing to do is welcome those challenges and say, hey, how can I utilize this to my benefit? And bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. There's no better bet than yourself, and that's the number one investment that everyone here can make. And I will always bet on myself every day of the week. Challenge me in a race, I'll find a way to win.
Love it. Great advice. Well, thank you, Bryan. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your remarkable personal and professional journey. And I hope that everyone got a lot out of it. And we really appreciate your time here. Thank you.
Appreciate your time, Professor Palazzolo, and look forward to hearing from you soon. And thanks everyone for their time. Thank you, Monmouth. Looking forward to making a visit there.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Good night.